Good evening, everyone. Welcome to everyone, and just wanted to say thank you for joining us for episode 2 of the Nightly Muse with Jason Tweed. I am Jason Tweed. I wasn't going to get off on a controversial topic in the first week or so for two reasons. One is that I wanted to keep this lighthearted, and then the other reason was very simply, why waste a good controversy on a small audience? I'm hoping my audience grows every night, and I would rather save the juicy bits for when there's a whole lot of people coming in. But today we had to, I decided to change that plan because of the news regarding Bill Cosby. I will get to that in a minute. First of all, I want to give everyone a quick update about Nightly Muse and our progress. Still been working on the streaming issues to be able to broadcast and provide more content and a richer, feature-rich broadcast. Making progress, but I didn't feel like I had tested it well enough to implement anything new tonight. So it's once again just my talking head. When they talk about virality on YouTube, the general consensus is that you consider something viral if more people watch a particular video than subscribe to your YouTube channel. So if you have 20,000 subscribers, and on the first day your video gets 50,000 views, they would consider that viral. Typically it's about 10%. So if you have 20,000 subscribers, you should expect roughly 2,000 views in the first 24 hours. Above 2,000 is better, and that means you're probably doing good content. And above your subscriber mark is considered viral. That's when more people watched it than have actually subscribed, and it's getting some traction. So the good news is I had yesterday's broadcast was my first ever technically viral video, because I currently, as of the beginning of this broadcast, have 4 subscribers and 21 people watched the video. That's a 500% virality rating. Sweet. I don't know what I'm going to do with all the money I'm raking in here. All right, just kidding. Not really viral. However, I do need your assistance. If you're watching this, I encourage you to please hit the subscribe button, because YouTube has 2 milestones that I'm going for. The first is at 100 subscribers. If you have 100 subscribers and 30 days of history, then YouTube will allow you to get a vanity domain, such as youtube.com/nightlymuse. If not, I have these horrible encoded links that I have to publish every night, and there's no way for my subscribers to come back night after night and just bookmark the link easily. So we want to get to 100 as quickly as we can. So please share this video, tell your friends, poke them, ask them to subscribe. If you're watching it after the fact, please hit the subscribe button. You do have to have a YouTube account, but if you have a Gmail email address, you already have a YouTube account. They're the same company. and you can simply sign in with your Gmail address and hit the subscribe button. Also, please hit the like button if you like this, even a little bit. The like buttons help YouTube determine which of the content is preferred by subscribers. And so when you hit the like button, it gives me more of a chance to be seen on YouTube in the sidebars and things like that. It's probably not going to help in the early stages, but going forward, if you hear something you like, please click the like button. The second milestone is 1,000 subscribers. 1,000 subscribers is the new threshold at which you can start earning a share of the advertising revenue that YouTube gets. And so until you get to 1,000 subscribers, and also you have to have 4,000 hours of total view time, at that point you can share the wealth and start earning revenue from the ads that are going to be showing on this stream. That's important to me because it's validation. I'm doing this because I love doing it. If you don't love media, then don't become a YouTuber, because the money you will earn is hard earned and it takes a long time. However, if you're good at it, they do reward you with monetary funds. And just to say I'm earning cash on YouTube is kind of an ego trip for me. And if I'm earning a ton of cash on YouTube, it's an ego trip to a much nicer destination. So let's begin with the actual topic for tonight. The topic for tonight is Cosby, Kavanaugh, and more. And I'm not going to make a lot of friends tonight because I have some opinions that are different from many of you. But let me dive right into it. First, Bill Cosby. I was heartbroken when the allegations came out against Bill Cosby. As an entertainer, he's always been a hero of mine, and a role model to many African American people across the country. He also was very proud of education, and he recognized that education was the big equalizer. So he did a lot of things in his personal life to promote opportunities for, particularly for Black men, to go to college. He did that through his alma mater, which was Temple University. Temple University in Philadelphia is, in my opinion, one of the great schools in the nation because it's truly an inner city college. It's very gritty, just like Philadelphia is. He dedicated a lot of his time to the athletic department there and sat on their board and was instrumental in making sure that Temple always had the resources that they need in order to participate at the top level in sports. I mean, they were never top 10 football, but they had a solid basketball program and a place where young men and women could get scholarships and participate in sports and further their education, which was his goal. My sister graduated from Temple, and Bill Cosby was the commencement speaker that year. So I got to see him up close at Temple University, and as a comedian, he's second to none. I've seen him live in concert a couple of times, Um, and there was no secret that Cosby was um, a ladies' man, so to speak. He had uh, been divorced at least once, and he had there had been talk about him being kind of a womanizer, um, but different than the sexual predator that he has turned out to be. Um, Bill Cosby apparently committed multiple rapes uh, by using drugs to um, reduce the resistance for women to the point where some of them were even blacked out. He used drugs and alcohol as a tool to commit rape. He was convicted of that in one of the few cases that the statute of limitations had not run out. And today he was sentenced to 3 to 10 years in prison. He will have to serve a minimum of, I believe, 13 months, but his base prison term is 3 years. Cosby's an old man. I don't know exactly how old he is, but 10 years in prison is essentially a life sentence for him. If he does serve 3 years, it still could be very challenging because even for a celebrity, prison isn't a happy place to be. That makes me sad, but unfortunately, it sounds like he got even less than he deserved. What apparently was a predatory behavior over decades, and because of his stature in the entertainment community, he apparently at least thought he was untouchable. The woman that finally did come forward and lead to the conviction was not someone that was that he tried to influence for the benefit of his stardom or celebrity or career. It was a woman that worked for Temple University and was a liaison between Mr. Cosby and the athletic department there. A talented former athlete in her own right. And it's sad because it tainted the university. It tainted his incredible career. Sad, but definitely deserved. So, Mr. Cosby, I wish you no ill will in prison, but I hope that you serve the maximum of a 10-year sentence, because certainly that's more credit than you should have gotten. Now let's move on to Brett Kavanaugh. Brett Kavanaugh is currently being considered for Supreme Court justice. And during this time, allegations have come out from 2 different women, one of them a while ago, and one of them very recently. Both allegations were from a much younger time in his life. One is while he was in college or in high school at Georgetown Prep, a private high school in near Washington, D.C. And one of them was while he was in college, I believe at Yale, but I'm not absolutely certain of that. He did attend Yale, but I'm not sure if that was where his undergraduate was. The first one, he was a minor. He was 17 years old, and so was the woman that he, that, as she has said, it was attempted rape. I don't know the details, And I'm not sure we ever really will, because obviously he is denying it. The woman is telling it, saying she's telling the truth. But I did the math. Brett Kavanaugh is 53 years old. The alleged behavior happened when he was 17. So if you roll back to when I was 17 in 1987, the world was a very different place back then. He was 5 years my senior. We were just one generation removed from a time where women had very few rights compared to men in this world. It was much more paternalistic. And I'm not saying that that's okay. What I'm saying is that his perception of right and wrong can't necessarily be compared to the perception of right and wrong today. Now, if he in fact did rape her, if he in fact intended to rape her, then absolutely that's criminal, and it was back in 1982 when this happened. However, we don't know the exact details. I don't know many of the details about the other event because there's not a lot of information out there yet. Should these questions come up in a Supreme Court hearing, I think that that's fair. I think anything that judges your moral character in a situation where you're going to have a lifetime appointment, and you're going to determine the outcome of people's lives, millions of lives, and it will be based on your moral judgment. I think anything is fair game. However, treating Brett Kavanaugh with the same disdain as Bill Cosby isn't very fair. Bill Cosby was a decades-long predator who used his power and influence to cover up what was relatively well known, which was that he was a sexual predator. And the reason he covered it up was for money. Brett Kavanaugh didn't try to cover up something that happened when he was 17 because he was hoping someday to be on the Supreme Court. He was a dumb kid. And furthermore, the woman chose not to come forward for decades. And I'm not saying that she should have come forward earlier. I'm saying that the situation is that there is no predatory practice with a means to an end. I'm glad we're learning more about him now, but we can't compare the two. I think we need to judge Kavanaugh based on the man he is, rather than on two incidents that happened years ago. Do those give us indicators into the man he is today? Absolutely. Personally, I do not want Brett Kavanaugh to get added to the Supreme Court. But my reason is different, and I think my reason is even more valid. The Heritage Foundation is an extreme think tank conservative group with clear goals at overturning Roe versus Wade and making life worse for certain minorities, particularly people who are homosexual. They are purposely trying to get him on the Supreme Court, and that's why they buddied up to Donald Trump. That's one reason I don't think that he is a legitimate candidate for SCOTUS. The other reason I don't think he's a legitimate candidate is because I don't believe that Donald Trump is a legitimate president. And I'm not saying that he wasn't elected or that he shouldn't serve his term. I'm saying he is currently under investigation for collusion with the Russians. And there's more than enough evidence to suspect that he's involved. And I want before he adds another Supreme Court justice, I want Donald Trump to be vindicated or convicted, and that mess to be cleared up one way or the other. If Robert Mueller comes up and says, yep, Donald knew nothing about it, he was fine, he's in the clear, or even we can't prove it, then at that point, I would allow Donald Trump to choose his next member for the Supreme Court. But as of right now, there's not enough evidence for or against him to allow him to continue on as business as usual. My view is that's in any capacity, but particularly for Supreme Court justice. The Republicans also are using their bully pulpit to get him through. And this bothers me a lot because they did the opposite with Merrick Garland. When President Obama rightfully had the expectation that he would nominate the next Supreme Court justice, the Republicans stonewalled and prevented Merrick Garland, who is a very, very qualified, very moderate candidate. He was not liberal or conservative necessarily. One of the best candidates that we've seen in decades, and definitely should have been confirmed. He was replaced by Donald Trump's first confirmation, which frankly I was a little surprised. We knew he would be conservative, but I think that individual was a legitimate candidate and on par with Merrick Garland as far as, I'm sorry, am I saying that wrong? But on par with President Obama's nominee. That's not the case at all with Brett Kavanaugh, and we definitely should wait till after the midterm elections or the point at which Robert Mueller clears or indicts President Donald Trump. The last thing I want to talk about is there are a couple of other sexual abuse cases that I want to just bring up for comparison. Harvey Weinstein he's not been convicted. So in fairness, he's still considered innocent. But again, this is another situation where not only like Cosby did he use his celebrity to gain advantage sexually, but he also used something equally powerful to drugs or alcohol, and that was the prospect of fame or the potential for ruin. And some of the women that turned him down have said literally he damaged their careers in retribution. I'm not going to pass judgment. However, what I will say is that clearly there is a pattern of predatory relationship there. And if the allegations are in fact true, which I have no reason to believe that they're not, but if they are, then he deserves whatever punishment the law gives him and certainly deserves to be ostracized uh, by the Hollywood industry, and they need to do that partially in reparations for the abuse that I think is probably uh, rampant in Hollywood in general. Kevin Spacey, on the other hand, I thought this was a pretty frustrating case to me. Kevin Spacey was accused of having sex with a minor, and but let's look at the actual things that happened in the time frame. Kevin Spacey is older than me. The event took place sometime in the 70s, and Kevin Spacey was in his early 20s, and his victim was 17 years old and male. Kevin Spacey was in the closet up until recently, because he felt at that time he was not famous. He was trying to become an actor, and in the 70s, being gay and being out was very, very different. The event happened in San Francisco in a time of sexual exploration in the gay community, and it was also the time that led up to the AIDS epidemic. And part of that was that the culture of free love within the gay community in San Francisco was very, very intense. Kevin Spacey was fired from a very prominent role on House of Cards, and they did that in reaction to frankly, the shitstorm that Harvey Weinstein was going through at the same time. And Hollywood was essentially cleaning house of any dirty laundry, and this one was scary to them. And I feel bad because he has given us an extraordinary career, extremely talented, and my feeling is that this is a situation where an opportunist decided to come forward and accuse Kevin Spacey of being a pedophile. And I think that there's a big difference between two gay men at 17 and 24 years old, which, by the way, even at that time was not a crime in California because 17 was the age of consent. So it was not statutory rape, even though he was a minor. But the culture and the times, I'm not saying what Kevin Spacey did was right. I'm saying it was far more understandable. And I don't view either Kevin Spacey or Brett Kavanaugh as predators as much as people who made bad decisions at a time when they were very susceptible to bad decisions. If there is anyone watching this at 11 or at 1 minute until 11:30 that can say without a doubt they did not make any bad decisions when they were 17 years old, then I will encourage you to comment and tell me I'm dead wrong. But I know that I've done things I'm not proud of. Some of them were when I was 17, some of them were much later, some of them probably hurt people that I cared about. I care about even to this day. And for that, I apologize, but that doesn't shape the person that I am exclusively now. And my 2 cents worth is that we need to look at these cases individually on their merits and make the decisions which one we punish and which ones we accept and use it as the shades of gray that we all have in our lives. So, thank you so much for joining us tonight on this controversial topic. It's now 11:30 and I'm off to bed. Please hit like, please hit subscribe, and we will see you tomorrow night with hopefully a much more lighthearted topic. Good night, everyone. Thanks.